Howdy doody, everyone. I've been watching a lot of Green Acres lately. Help me. Anyway, yeah, radio. This is an RCA Victor. That needs a lot of work. What model is this thing? A 3X521. Super heterodyne. This radio came home with me. It was actually a gift from a former coworker. The woman who was part of the group that interviewed me for my current job over 15 years ago has retired as of a few years ago, and she occasionally comes by to say hi, and we have lunch and everything with her. And well, she came bearing gifts, and this she gave this to me. I don't know where she got it. I don't know if it's something that she owned for a number of years, or I don't know what the story is behind it, but I thought it was a very thoughtful gift, and it's definitely worth taking a look at this. Now, this radio does have some visual damage. Something like a mount point on the other side of this case broke off. This is a Bakelite case, and it broke off on the other side, and we'll have to look at what that was or is. And on the back side, the antenna board is cracked. These are all things that are fixable. We got to get it apart first. Now, I cannot for the life of me find my tripod. It's actually, I packed it away for a camping trip. We ended up not using it, and I don't know where the hell I put it. But for those of you who are more regular viewers of my channel, I've got a surprise for you. In fact, those of you who are not regular viewers of my channel, and you happen to be watching, or you're bored on Memorial Day weekend, keep an eye out for a very interesting live feed I might be doing. Totally unrelated to anything that we do on this channel or have ever done in the past, but I assure you, you will not want to miss it. I don't know what that live feed is going to look like. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off. I don't know what time. But if there's anything to be seen, it will be visible on, I would say, probably Saturday night into Sunday morning, Eastern Standard Time, U.S. Eastern Standard Time. Keep an eye out. I'm going to make an announcement. Take some time, set it aside. I'm going to try to do this. I can't guarantee anything, but I swear to God to you, it will be worth it. I'm just going to leave it at that. All right. I can't find my tripod. That's really what I'm getting at. But yeah, I have to find it before Friday. So today's Thursday, by the way. Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. So we need some tools. I'll take the antenna card off, the backer plate, antenna board, and see what's going on. I don't know anything about this radio. I have not plugged it in. Now, this is an important thing. If you're new to vacuum tube era electronics, or just any electronics made prior to the 1970s or so, this is important to note. Do not plug these things in when you get them. I guarantee you somebody probably tried and blew it up, but I'm going to show you why once you get into it. Never plug these in. And it's a mistake that we've all made, including me. This thing looks pretty intact. Let's take a look. Bottom. There's one screw holding the chassis in. I don't know if I'm going to save this radio. I'm going to try. So I looked at the tube diagram. It's right here. This is just a basic diagram of component layout. And there are 5 tubes on this radio, in this radio, which means that it may just be the infamous All-American 5 style tube chassis. They are known for having only 5 tubes. So I'm going to pull the dial off. I don't see a set screw on it or anything. And it's already cracked, so I don't know I hope somebody didn't glue it on. But we have to get the dial off to get the chassis out. So that, oh, it's coming off. It's coming, it's working its way. I don't want to have to find a replacement dial, so let's see if I can very gently work it off the shaft without breaking it any more than it already is. This thing hasn't been apart for a long time. These simple AM radios have probably been, I mean, for the most part, you know, they've likely been sitting a very long time unused. So, almost there. Ow, that hurts the fingers. Holy shit. But there is no... Oh, I don't think it's coming off at all. There's no set screw. It's a very inexpensive radio, by the way. Very, how can I put this? Cost-effective construction. Let me try to find a safe way to do this without marring the finish any more than it is. But I thought this was a very thoughtful gift. You know, yeah, like I said, the woman who gave this to me, she was instrumental in hiring me for the position that I'm in now. I'm not a job hopper. I find a job that I like and I stick with it. And it works out in the end because I don't have to deal with a lot of stress. Yeah, this is not budging. I'm trying to do this in a way that doesn't apply any pressure to the... Usually these just slide right off. But and I don't want to break it. That would be a shame. So let's see, that's not really working out. There's something living in there. It's not screwed on. Now, wouldn't that be something? I know that's not the case. Yeah. Got ball bearings in there, I can see. Yeah, this thing is not budging. I bet you somebody glued the sucker on at some point. Well, like I said, this is a fairly inexpensive set. I don't think it's going to be that devastating if something breaks. Should probably be relatively easy to find another knob. So, but we have to get it apart, right? Somehow? That we have to do, don't we? Oh yeah, it's not budging. Oh, it's gonna crack. Yeah. What am I gonna do? I bet you that's exactly what happened. Yeah, it's not screwed on. It's just gonna break off. Why don't I take the center cap off? Wouldn't that be funny if we found a screw in there? And I'm just sitting here wasting my time breaking stuff. There's a little copper cap here. You watch. There's gonna be a screw behind it. Nope, no screw. Had me going there for a second. No, it's just pressed on. The dial is cracked. So I think somebody glued it on. Guarantee it. Jackass just like, you know, if it breaks off, it breaks off, I guess. But there's no set screw. And I can see. No set screw. Maybe there's another way. I can see the end of the shaft. Maybe I can stick something down in there. So, if you're like me, and unfortunately some of you are, if you're like me, you probably don't have a lot of experience in the ins and outs of tube radios and other equipment like the tube radios. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong at all. But if you want to start out, you could do worse than an All-American 5. You could do far worse than an All-American 5. They're a very simple chassis. I've actually gotten one of these running before, and it worked pretty well. Got it. But still stuck. Was it captive in there? What the hell? What did I do? Oh. Well, alright then. It looks like part of it is captive. I'll show you what I mean. I got it out. Alright. Here we go. Look at that. I would have never gotten it out in the first place. That is weak. Oh, that is so stupid. Alright, so this knob is actually held in by a retainer, and I had to knock it out. That's the only way to get it off. Now, as I suspected, there's a mount, a chassis mount broken off on the back. And I don't think I see it here. But look at this chassis. It's so simple. Look at that thing. All right. So, looking at the situation, we do have some missing material there. That is nowhere to be found. That must have fallen out of the radio years ago. But check this chassis out. Look at how simple this thing is. You can fix this easily. You've only got a couple of caps in here. These all have to be replaced. Now, these are the reason why you don't just plug one of these in. Because these often, either they're completely open or they can dead short internally. They're not going to work. I'm not even going to try to plug it in. But look at how simple this chassis is. I mean, you've got a few, there's your 5 tubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got a couple resistors. You got, what are these? Help me out there. What are those? Could be it's 3.3 milliohms, so could be a capacitor, I guess. No. Wait a second. I'm sorry. That's a resistor. Duh. I forget what these are though. These are a combination of components that are molded together. I think they're caps as well. But these right here, these are no good. Now this one here, this is 2 caps in one. A 50 microfarad and a 30 microfarad, both at 150 volt DC, and you're going to have a common black, that's the negative. So this can get replaced with 2 caps. That's not a big deal. And you've got, this is an easy resto right here. This is totally, it's going to be a simple one, and really not intimidating at all. Here's your tuner, just a simple AM set. And this is your power supply. And why would that? Yeah, your power mains probably comes into there somehow. Yeah, I see it. There's this one here, and then that jumps over. It's got a transformer on it for some reason. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, that comes right off the power switch. So this one, it looks like it has the just like the 2 antique radios I have in the house, the Grinnell and the Philco. It uses the transformer as a no, I'm sorry, that's not true. That's not true. But the speaker runs right off the... That's interesting. Okay, so I guess I have to look at the schematic to see why it's doing that. Anyway, very simple set. Now, how you can usually tell if these have been replaced. So this is an RCA Victor set. Generally, you're going to find RCA Victor tubes in an RCA Victor set. I'm seeing a Sylvania. Those burn marks don't necessarily mean they're bad. Doesn't mean they're good either. If you really want to get into this sort of stuff and you want to watch the masters at work, one channel I do recommend heavily is Bob Anderson, B. Anderson TV. He actually restored the chassis on my Philco 37640. Had to have been about 7 years ago, and it still works perfectly. So, yeah, about 5 or 6 years ago, I think it was. 12BE6. This is probably an original. We don't know how old this set is yet. I haven't looked up any information. I've done nothing on this. I've done absolutely nothing. So, this is all news to me. Let's see. What do you say we plug it in, huh? Well, here's the thing. The risks of plugging it in, they can go a variety of ways. If you've got a capacitor that is dead shorted, you could destroy other components, other resistors, making it even harder to diagnose the set and finding out what's really wrong with it. We know for a fact that the capacitors are junk. So if we're lucky, it may not do anything. It'll just sit there and maybe buzz a little bit. The best case scenario is it'll actually buzz. You get a nice 60 hertz hum through the speaker. And you wouldn't want to just plug it in. You'd want to plug it into a variac. So I don't have a variac. A variac allows you to slowly ramp up the voltage to see how things behave. We're not going to do any of that. We're not going to plug it in. We're not going to blow it up. We're going to try to fix it. I almost broke the power or the tuning dial, but you know, it's just, that's me, the Yankee Destroyer. Put the cap back on though, little hubcap. There we go. Don't lose that. As for restoring the case, not sure what I'm going to do about that. It's got that busted missing piece there on the front. I'm trying to think of what I could fill that in with, and maybe if I had just the right coat of paint or something, I could. You don't usually want to paint these Bakelite sets. I mean, that's just the wrong thing to do. The dial is certainly cracked, but it was cracked before, so I didn't do that. That was just the way it was. Probably didn't improve anything, and I can't believe I almost broke it off. I feel like such a dumbass. Well, anyway. Don't judge me. I judge myself enough as it is, guys. This is all cleanable. Little mild detergent. Probably get this thing looking good, but here's the thing. You don't want to ruin that label. That label it's a big deal. You don't want to lose that. That warranty. It's a perfect label. 3X521. Let's see if we can look it up and find anything on the age. 3X521. Let's take a look. RadioMuseum.org has an article on this. Let's see. Permanent magnet, loudspeaker. Material, plastics, no Bakelite or Catalin. So it is not Bakelite. It really looks like Bakelite, but okay. According to this, it looks like it was made in around 1953, 54. So this radio is about as old as this house. That's pretty cool. But yeah, we've got some cosmetic issues there, and that's going to be tough to fix. So I may not fix it at all. Yeah, 1953. So that's nice. Is that yeah, I think it's an All-American 5. The All-American 5 radios were often the least expensive models. They were the entry-level radios. If your kid wanted a radio, you know, he or she would save up money collecting eggs, turning in deposit bottles, and, you know, going around doing chores for people, mowing lawns, delivering newspapers so they could buy one of these. So these were the radios that you see at Walmart today, and you know, they were very inexpensive at the time, and they've earned their place in history for their simplicity and their ubiquity. They're very easy to find. So I got kind of excited about that, because the All-American 5s are like the perfect radio to start out on, if it's a hobby that you want to get into. Now, how's the speaker look? Well, the center cap is intact. It has a very simple speaker with an integrated surround as part of the cone, so it's not a separate surround. There are no holes or cuts or tears, and I'm not putting any pressure on this. I just want to get a feel for it. If my finger went right through it, obviously it's junk. But check this out. They even put ball bearings in the tuning assembly here. That's the level of quality that you don't see anymore. I mean, it's a very simple chassis, a single piece of steel stamped and formed. As for what I'm going to do, I think we'll just... in a later video, we'll take all the caps. I'm going to get an order sheet of all the caps I'm going to need. And we'll probably put orange drops in it. That's what I did with the GE that I had. I gave it to my old neighbor. That's why I don't have it anymore. But we'll put orange drop caps in it, and that should take care of it. The antenna's intact. This is a very simple repair, a little bit of wood glue, and we can put that back together again. Tubes, we'll take those out. We'll clean them by hand with a little window cleaner, and clean the sockets with a little bit of contact deoxit. Put some deoxit in the sockets. Kind of greasy, so I suspect this radio actually was used in a kitchen, probably on the breakfast table. I don't smell cigarette smoke. Or maybe just a little bit, but it definitely sat in a kitchen. That's where all this greasy stuff is from. It doesn't have any massive electrolytics on top, which would usually leak out all over the chassis and cause corrosion. So I think this will be an easy one. And if I run into any trouble, I know a few folks I can run to and plead for help. Let's see. But yeah, these are perfect. If you want to just dip your toes into radio restoration and repair, the All-American 5s are the way to go. Find the small little table radios at your local antique store, any random shops that might sell things, you know, and try to resist the urge to, you know, do the Etsy thing or the Instagram thing and paint it some weird color like violet or pink. I mean, do what you want, have fun, but you're not doing it any favors by doing that. A lot of people do that these days. They'll buy a radio like this and they'll turn it into a Bluetooth speaker, or they'll paint it teal or some god-awful color. Actually, if you're going to paint one, this one would be a good candidate. Although this could all be polished out with a buffing wheel, I think. A little bit of effort. You could polish this guy out pretty easily. Number 33. Maybe this was the 33rd unit off the line for that day. What's the serial number? U127751. Yeah, the fact that it's got Sylvania tubes and it's got a, what's this one? It's GE, it's got a GE tube. Tells me that this radio has been serviced. Now, this is another thing. So a lot of times, these old tube sets, TVs, radios, what have you, the only thing the average consumer knew how to do was change a tube, which is just like changing a light bulb. And they think that if the radio isn't working correctly, they'll just take the tubes out, bring them to the local Safeway or Piggly Wiggly or whatever 50s ass grocery store was nearby them at the time, and they would proceed to test the tubes in the little tube tester. Grocery stores had these all over the place. All over the country, there were tube testers in your local grocery store. It was another way for them to get more money out of you. So what they would do is they would test the tubes in the grocery store tube testers. Now, what I've heard from true radio collectors and older folks is that those tube testers were deliberately set to pretty much fail any tube. If you put a tube in the damn thing, it's going to fail it, or it'll show as weaker than it really is. Sometimes they were adjusted to be even weaker than that. So they're essentially guaranteeing a sale. You bring your tube in, you test it. Oh, it failed. Oh my God, we need a new one. They'd buy another tube. If that was a tube that they sold, they would buy another one off the shelf. And they'd bring it home and plug it into the radio, and it still wouldn't work because they didn't fix the underlying problem. They're just swapping parts because that's what people know how to do. So then they would get frustrated, and the radio would get stuffed in the attic or put into the garage or whatever and forgotten about. They'd buy a new one, and 30, 40, 50, 60 years later, we have a lot of these radios that have random assortment of tubes in them. And now that's not what happened here, because if you look, this tube has got a lot of stuff baked onto it, so it was used quite a bit. But I'm just, you know, I'm almost tempted to plug this thing in just to prove a point. I really am. Oh, one more thing that's quite here. Let me grab a multimeter and I'll show you what I mean. I have one here somewhere. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Okay. So, what I have here is a basic multimeter that you can buy at your local Lowe's or Home Depot. This is actually a Southwire. I like these. Oops, I hit the okay. It's a Southwire multimeter. I've got 3 of these actually. I got one for here, I got one for work, and I got one for the car. You should never be without a multimeter. I used to carry one with me every day. I don't know why. I'm not really an electrical guy, but I guess by extension. I was a weird kid, so I'll take that. All right, I want to show you something. So this is what I believe to be a hot chassis set. Most of these older radios were hot chassis sets. And what that means is that the chassis is connected directly to one of these prongs on the port, see? So I'm going to try one at random. One of them's neutral, one of them is hot, but the way they're wired and the way they're, yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's not this one. What about the other one? Ah, okay. Alright, so this is not a hot chassis. Doesn't look like it anyway. Now, a hot chassis set is going to have continuity between one of the prongs on the power cord and the chassis itself, and this one does not have that. With a hot chassis set, which is a lot of earlier radios were wired this way for some reason, when you plug the power cable into the plug, and let's say you were washing dishes. No, wait. If you touch anything with a direct connection to ground, like I touch the radio screw in the back, okay? If it's all put together, I touch the screw in the back, and I touch a faucet, I am going to complete a circuit to ground. It does not appear to be the case here. And that was a bigger problem because they didn't use polarized plugs. So you could plug, if you plugged it in a certain way, the chassis would be on the neutral side, but if you reverse it, it's on the hot side. So yeah, that was a thing. You know what? I'm really tempted to plug this thing in. What do you think? What should I do? I know it's not going to work. I just want to prove a point. If not to you, to myself. Alright. Fuck it. Let's do it. Let's plug it in. Let's just see what it does. because I know damn well I'm not the first one to try this. I know somebody's already done it and blown it up, so what's the point, right? All right, here we go. Okay. If I don't know the condition of the wiring, I'm going to use something with insulation to turn the volume control on. Here we go. These tubes are lighting up. Doesn't mean anything though. It just means the filament's getting voltage. I'm not getting that 60 hertz hum yet. Oh, there we go. Getting something. Actually sounds good. No hum at all. So if I'm lucky, it's just open circuited somewhere. Yeah, I should be getting something out of it by now. I don't hear any snap, crackle, and pop. Of course, the damage is probably already done. It was probably done before I even got the unit, just to be clear. Nothing. All right. I'm getting a hum, not a hum, but a very light, very faint sound out of the speaker. So, all right, that's enough. All right. So there we go. That was anticlimactic, but I just wanted to prove a point. Either it won't work or it could blow. So I don't know what that proved. But most of the tubes were lit up. So that's a good sign. At least we're getting filament voltage, or heater voltage, sorry. We're getting heater voltage out of the thing. But all right, well, stay tuned. I don't know what the timeline is going to be on this one because it's not really urgent. I just wanted to get this film out of the way, or this video out of the way. This is yet another project. I'm just going to throw it back together again and probably revisit it in a year or so. Have a great night, and definitely Memorial Day weekend, Saturday night into Sunday, I'd say between 6, 7 o'clock to whenever. I don't know when this is going to happen, but just keep your eyes peeled for a live video from me. You won't want to miss it. I promise. I promise you. It will be epic. So, and the cool thing about it is it's one of those live feeds that a lot of people outside of my viewing audience would love to see and be part of, but they don't watch my channel, so you do, and I thank you for it. It costs us a lot of money to set things in and to get things for us to go where we're going to go. It was not cheap at all. It was very expensive. We could have gone on a nice vacation. Now, okay, it wasn't that expensive, but the place where we're going to go, oh man, you're going to love it, and I promise you, you won't want to miss it. So, on that note, stay tuned.